Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Battlegrounds. And I already made a video about my initial opinion about Battlegrounds and things that need to change. And I kind of listed like three primarily, most important things that most people are very worried about. And those were energy cost, the each individual champion recharge cost, and then any other micro monetization means like, use units to re-roll or whatever else. There are obviously other issues that will inevitably rear their head in Battlegrounds, such as masteries and mastery setup, and a lot of people have already told me that unless there are some sort of setups, presets available, as people who run Liquid Courage Double Edge, they're not overly interested or interested at all in the game mode because they will be unable to compete. But there is even bigger issue that just occurred to me after watching latest Brian Grant video, where he went over things that he believes need to be changed in Battlegrounds for the game mode to land. And that is the fact that boosts affect your champions in Battlegrounds. So if you put on your 30% boost and your attack and health boost, then basically all your champions will have 50% increase in health and attack compared to your opponents. And that is even more major issue than pretty much anything else that we have discussed single-handedly, but especially combined with all of the other costs and barriers of entry that exacerbates the problem to a point where it will be impossible to compete unless you do like all of these certain things. And let me explain there. Unlike in Alliance Wars, where you can take the easier fights knowing that you don't necessarily need to boost at all, or you can boost very small and then do all your major fights with a single set of boosts for most part. Battlegrounds do not necessarily function that way. Battlegrounds currently are designed in a way where you will do 2 matches at any given time, then you're going to have to put it aside, wait till your energy refills, unless you want to pop in an energy refill, and then you're going to need to do a couple of matches again. So the entire point of Battlegrounds is a game mode where you can have a lot of fun, interact with other people, compete with other people, and do not necessarily have to invest hours upon hours of your time, where you can have 8-minute match against somebody, put it aside, you have another 15 minutes time to play the game, you can pick it up, play 2 matches and move on to the next thing. Obviously there will be people who want to do sessions of Battlegrounds. Like I would also be one of those people typically, because if I will want to stream Battlegrounds, I will end up having to pop in those refills or recharge my champions, so on and so forth. But why the huge importance of the boosts in this game mode? Well, that is quite simple, because once you will have played Battlegrounds for any moderate amount of time, and one would assume that the matchmaking works well enough. So as a rule of thumb, obviously with some exceptions or maybe some mismatches or whatever else, you will be matched up against people who have relatively same skill, relatively same roster, or maybe better roster and they don't play as well as you do, or maybe smaller roster but they're more skillful for you than you are. But the point is, then you typically be matched with people who have approximately the same combat prowess as you do, and obviously then you would do your best to kind of improve and slowly climb up the ranks and learn about the champions, learn about interactions, perhaps slowly organize your deck better and do some specific rank ups. And that would be the point of you becoming a better player, but also be able to climb this leaderboard or whatever that has to exist by the principle of Battlegrounds being a competitive mode. Well, the problem with that immediately becomes the boost. Because then by default in any situation, if you are matched with, let's say, a mirror version of yourself, anyone who has the same champions, anyone who has the same amount of skill, the person who boosts is going to win. You're going to have more HP on your defenders, your attackers are going to be able to deal with the fights much more quickly. And obviously there's still RNG aspect, and there's, you know, human error, and occasionally you will be able to squeeze in a win against somebody who is boosted. And if you're not boosted, but I'd say about 9 times out of 10 or 4 times out of 5, if two people that have relatively identical battle prowess or ability to play this game are going to fight, then the one that's boosting is going to fight, is going to win. And then that effectively means that if you want to play Battlegrounds, reflecting your actual kind of skill level or level in the game, you have to boost. And that is a difference, first of all, of Alliance War, because in Alliance War, you choose when you boost based on the information presented to you, because you immediately can see what's in front of you. Do you need boosts for this set of fights, or you don't need boosts, and how much you have to boost? In Battlegrounds, you don't get to see whether opponent is boosting already or not. You don't have that information until after you match. That means to be on the same side and not to be in disadvantage from the very beginning, you will have to apply the boost. Otherwise, you already kind of accept the idea that there is a very decent chance that you will end up with a major disadvantage. And that disadvantage, which would be really measurable, like in actual large margins. It would be, imagine like taking all your 5-star rank 5 champions and replacing with them 6-star rank 3s. So if you're somebody who has moderately large, you know, 5-star roster and who primarily uses 5 stars in Battlegrounds, because you don't have that many 6-star rank 3s, and then all of a sudden a player who does the same gets to swap out their 5 stars for 6-star rank 3 versions. Kind of. Except even worse, because he still retains all the benefits from them being 5 stars, as in higher combat power rate and higher signature abilities, so on and so forth. But where I'm getting at is, because you don't see it beforehand, you will always have to operate with the idea that the opponent is boosting if you're playing it relatively competitively, and if you really do want to climb that ladder, which is kind of like part of the major excitement of the game mode. And for those people who plan on climbing, you know, relatively high towards the higher tiers, you know, it comes with a practical guarantee that if the boost will count in Battlegrounds, then everybody will be boosting. Everybody who will be competing for spot 1, 2, 5, 10, 100, whatever, 100% will always play with boost on. And obviously that comes with a very significant cost. That's the first thing. Second thing is it will also kind of dismantle the playability of the game mode itself. The game mode, in theory, until you factor in that, you know, boosts are required, functions as a game mode that you can pick up, play for 10 minutes, play for 20 minutes or half an hour, and then move on to the next thing. Now, it will much more likely gonna function as, if you do want to do Battlegrounds, and if you do want to take it seriously, you have to boost up, you have to play for an hour, so you have to, you know, drop in your energy refills and pay the recharge costs, and then you can kind of have your best showing. And that immediately will make everyone step on those, you know, micro cost and requirement rakes pretty much immediately, because you're going to have no way to avoid it if you want to play whilst you're boosted. Now, as a theoretical model, what does it mean, for instance, for an average higher tier player? I can use myself as an example, even though I do understand that, you know, not everybody necessarily views this game the same way as I do. What would that mean for me in regards to Battlegrounds? Well, first of all, you know, I am quite competitive, and I would probably try to push for higher ranks. That means I will never want to enter with B set of champions. That means I will only play when, you know, all my champions are refreshed and I don't have to pay any recharges. B, you know, I can't always bear that energy refill cost. I'm sure that I would do occasional stream maybe where I'm prepared to sink in those energy refills and boosts, but for most part, day to day, I wouldn't. That means I would not do more than 2 matches at a time, which is what I can do, you know, with that energy refill cost. And lastly, it means that I would likely only do my fights just after I already have boosted for Alliance War. So I'd boost for Alliance War like 3 times a week, you know, for every war. Typically, you know, I boost a little bit for initial fights and then more for the final fights. So I would likely play, unless I would be specifically doing stream as a content creator. Putting that aside, as a player, that means that out of this whole beautiful game mode, I would likely be playing it 3 times a week for like 20 minutes each time, basically 2 matches or maximum 4 matches or 3 matches. And I would do it after I have boosted for Alliance War, just so I can kind of capitalize on that extra time that's remaining for the boost that I have used in Alliance War. And that same situation would be there for many of the quote-unquote most competitive people who are not able to just, you know, sink in hundreds and hundreds of dollars in units and purchase these boost packs and everything else. Because in order to access the larger boosts, you know, it's not that easy. You can access smaller and medium level boosts for the most part quite easily, but never the biggest attack boost, never the biggest health boost, never the biggest champion boost. Most of those are typically tied in cash offers. And, you know, as that, they can't be wasted. They are quite valuable. And a simple thing like that immediately, you know, changes the playability of content. And I do think it is extremely important that as many of these requirements are removed. And it's good that we have heard so much discussion about the energy cost, about the recharge cost. But I have not heard any discussion about these boosts, because Brian is the first content creator who mentioned it. That boosts, you know, work in the solo mode. And they absolutely should not. They absolutely should not. Because then, if you want to win against people who are at your own skill and progression and whatever level, you will have to boost pretty much all the time. Because people who are going up against you will be. And it's just another thing that makes that entire game mode a lot less appealing. And this video is not meant to harp at Kabam, because that's the entire point of this early beta and another beta and stuff like that, to give feedback. But I just want to make sure that it is out there and that more and more people are aware of the fact that boosts got to go from this game mode. The fact that there's going to be a huge discrepancy based on the rosters and based on whether you're using 5-star rank 5, 6-star rank 2s, and, you know, 6-star rank 3s is already going to be massive grade divider. If you introduce boosts in that entire equation, it's just going to be brutal. I believe it's going to be brutal. And I believe it's going to prevent majority of the people who could do well in that game mode from doing well. Believe that vast majority of the people who could be enjoying the game mode, getting most of it, because of this one single thing, because of the boost, would not be able to. I know that, you know, for me, it would mean that I hardly play the game mode. Let me know what you guys think about the subject, because it hasn't been discussed much. Genuinely, it has only been mentioned by Brian and no other content creators who had the opportunity to play the Battlegrounds. So yeah, let me know about this, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the